Hi everyone and welcome. Today is Wednesday and I've just settled down to do a little bit of stitching, so I thought I would share a little bit of time with you. So today's piece that I'm working on is called Riverwalk charm, and I think quite a few are fairly familiar with this chart, which I started at the end of 2019, I believe. I've steadily been working along this whole top section since, well, the end of summer last year, I'd say. And I think I've made good progress. I really do. I've been pretty consistent about it and not veering off into all sorts of directions. So, trying to be consistent with continuing the section rather than, how sometimes you can get bored and just go off into another area or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I tried to get this nice, neat, top section filled, which I thought looked really nice, and to keep working downwards. The only problem is that most of this is just tree. So it feels like I've been stuck in the tree forever and ever. But that's okay, because eventually the tree has to end, right? Somewhere. There's going to come a point where there'll be no tree. And I think that's the point where we might celebrate, because it's pretty hard going. So for those who don't know, I'm working 10th stitch, which is half a stitch, with 2 strands over 1 thread, and I'm doing, little diagonals at the moment. I was doing blocks and then I changed to diagonals. But I don't think diagonals are that different to blocks, really, to be fair. It's not that different, it's just a different angle. Obviously, if you're doing square blocks, it's just going to have a different look. And I don't really see that one is that different from the other, to be honest. But I think some stitchers say that they prefer one or the other. In any case, I kind of like both. And sometimes if I get tired of doing diagonals, I will switch back to blocks, which is really only a matter of filling in the rest of the corner of a square. So if I went and filled in a line down and across here at the bottom, I would automatically have got rid of the diagonal, and I would be back to doing blocks. Because sometimes you just need to change things up a bit, because there isn't, I've gone off into cross country at times. In fact, I did that towards the end of this chart here. And it really wasn't a good idea to do that, I found. Okay, where am I going here? I've done that stitch. Wasn't a good idea to do, because it kind of got to me having to go back and fill in all those little gaps. That's just one of the things that happens. I know for a fact that some people can stitch crazily cross country and they don't bat an eyelid, and I just wish I was more like that, but I'm not. And I think our character has got a lot to do with it, as well as our anxieties, or how much we can tolerate seeing a picture that is all scattered. How much toleration do we have for that? And some people are more methodical, or they like to see things like this, nice neat lines. It is very telling, I think, very telling upon our characters. So in my case, I have no idea, because sometimes I like to go veering off cross country, and then I like to go back and tidy everything up. So if there are any psychologists out there that can explain what that is all about, then please do share. Maybe I just kind of need to like burst out of my bubble every so often, but I don't permanently want to stay there. Now what's going on here? There's a lot of threading and rethreading, unfortunately, when you're doing rows, and I have been doing rows in the past while. It does take a bit longer, but you see your progress gradually increasing as you go, which is nice, I think. I do find this row by row method to be quite relaxing. When I'm not making mistakes, of course, because there's always that. Okay, so, oh dear, it's a really windy day today. I don't know if you could hear that, but there's a lot of whistling going on at the windows. And I had been thinking about going out, but now I'm not so sure because I feel like the weather's so bad. I mean, it's sunny and bright, but it's just crazy wind. And I know it's not going to be comfortable, really. I had planned to maybe go out and get a coffee, but with that kind of wind, I'm not sure if it's worth the pain, to be honest. I think I've made a mistake here somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Still can be quite a bit of counting no matter what you do. I think it's okay. I think I've parked. How many stitches have I got left here? Done those 2. Sometimes I park in the wrong place. Yeah, I think I've parked when I shouldn't have parked. In other words, I've forgotten to do a stitch or so. That's black colour. Okay, I find sometimes when I get to the end of the diagonal, my brain kind of fuzzes up a bit, gets confused. It's like, because there's threads hanging at the very end, I feel like I'm still on the diagonal. And yeah, it can be confusing. Now, what I did, I think, was I parked in the wrong place. That's what I did. That's what I do a lot, actually. I park in the wrong place. Really messes things up a bit. Come on now, girl, pay attention. Okay. So that one's not parked. Don't know where that one went. I think some of these are parked wrong. Story of my life, eh? Story of my life. That one. It's in the wrong place. Okay, I'm going to have to come back after I fix this. Okay, so I think I managed to get the threads sorted out again. Let's see now if I can continue without making too many mistakes. So what was I saying? Yeah, so it's really windy today. It didn't feel like, well, unless the wind drops a bit, I won't be going for my coffee to a cafe nearby. I just really don't fancy walking in gale force winds, to be honest. Oh dear. Let's see. So some of these colours, well, obviously they do look so similar. It's easy to get confused between one colour and another. So let's see. I was planning on doing a update progress video at the end of this month. I'm still hoping I'll be able to be free to do that. But what you can see here is just this little bit, these few diagonals left until I get to the very end. That was my goal, really, for the end of this month. So how many days do we actually have left? We've got, what is it today? Is it the 22nd? 22nd, and there's 31 days. So that's 9 days. 9 days to finish this section, which I think is very doable, actually. It is very doable. So my current idea is to be doing 200 stitches a day. So I've worked out that with 200 stitches a day, 7 days a week, I can have this finished within 3 years, which is pretty good going, considering I've still got something like 270,000 stitches left to go. I think within 3 years, 200 a day is good. It's about 1,400 a week. We should be there. Now that's ideally, right? Because as we know, life is not ideal and things happen. But then I'm counting on the fact that sometimes you get better days than others and you can stitch more than that. Especially when you get to areas like this, which is just plain sailing. I think I did all those white stitches or just off white stitches in about 2 days. So we're talking like 1,000 stitches, just over 1,000, or maybe more actually, because I can see the squares. Yeah, about 3,000 stitches there. That was done in a couple of days. So you will get a chance to catch up, I think, on those areas of the chart. But, you know, like with everything, that is the sort of tentative goal, but it's not set in stone. Like, I'm aiming towards it, but I don't like to commit 100% to a huge goal, because I feel like it kind of takes the joy away just a little bit when you have, you know, when you're really, really trying to achieve something, and you know, I don't want it to start feeling like a job. So yeah, that's the goal, but it's not like the be all and end all. If I end up not being able to, like, if it's not finished at the end of December in 2026, I'm not going to cry, you know, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm just going to, you know, adjust my crown and carry on as you do. Because, you know, I can't predict the future. Nobody can. So we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Everything could change. Nothing could change. I don't know. Just try to be positive and believe that, you know, things are going to be fine years down the line. But we don't know for sure. But anyway, that's the way I've kind of worked it out. And you'd be surprised how it does grow and grow if you're just consistent. Like people say, how did you do so much? Well, it wasn't done in 5 minutes. It was done over a couple of years now. So it does grow. Not quickly, doesn't grow quickly, but it's like moss that grows steadily. Every day you look at like a mossy embankment and you can see that there's new growth creeping along. It just takes its time. Now, I think I need to find some colours here. So what I do is I anchor my thread at the back. Then later on, I go and trim the back. You can trim the back, the end of your piece, if you want to, but it can just leave like a little tiny tail at the back now, and then I do my cross. Sorry, not my cross, my half stitch. And another one. Like, this is absolutely confetti crazy at the moment. It is. I do feel like I am just inching along, but I don't feel like it's burdensome because I'm doing them, you know, consecutively. I'm doing the stitches consecutively, so it doesn't feel like a burden that I have to go back and fill in tiny gaps around. Everything just gets filled in as I go. Which makes for more pleasurable stitching for me, I think, because I feel like I don't have to worry about going back. I mean, literally, there is barely 2 stitches together at the moment that are the same colour. As you can see, I've got rows of colours. And even if I was doing this cross country, I would still be having loads of colours, right? There's no getting away from them. The chart says what the chart says. So here. Okay, I seem to have already got a parked thread in here where I went to park. Is that the same colour? It doesn't look like the same colour. I think I've parked a thread wrong again. Well, I'm going to park and take the other thread out because that's the only way I think I can do it. So let's see, how is everybody stitching? Coming along? Is everybody happy with what they're stitching? Okay, there we go. I've nearly finished this little diagonal now. I'm kind of thinking about just doing small diagonals because I don't necessarily want to do, I find that the long diagonals feel like you're going on forever. I do. And I feel like it feels like you're never going to reach the end. I don't really like that feeling. So I'm thinking of doing really short ones. Just keep going along with really short diagonals. Like literally, kind of like the Royal Rose, where I think it's just 2 blocks down and across, or 20 by 10 blocks across. I just can do the diagonals 2 blocks down, literally in diagonal all the way along. So that would be diagonal rows, I guess. We'll see. Not really sure how I'm going to tackle it exactly, but I am liking, at the moment, I'm liking this method of doing very large section, getting it all completed. I think it's looking neat. And like I said, what I like about getting the whole area done is that you don't have to go back, fill in any gaps. It's just done, you know. We just move on. And it's also nice to look at. It's nice to see the whole picture there. Woohoo, 2 stitches on the same. 2 stitches on this row. Goodness me. I hit the jackpot. So the other funny thing that's happened is, well, I was thinking about the stitch with me's, and I wasn't sure whether, you know, people, because everybody likes different things, I wasn't sure whether they preferred to watch long videos or short videos, or do you actually like videos of stuff that's going on outside the stitching, like kind of like vlog sort of videos where maybe you get a bit more insight into the floss tuber's life and what they're doing outside of the stitching. Nothing immensely personal, because I don't think a lot of people are really up for that or have got time for that. But, you know, it seems, I mean, pet footage has always been very popular. And I absolutely love sharing photos of my cat. I do it in my Discord community, and other people in my Discord community share pictures of their pets as well. And I always love seeing the funny photos, or, you know, the affectionate photos that people share. Really like that. So I have put a little bit of footage of my cat at the end of a couple of my videos, and gotten a lot of feedback from people saying how much they loved it. I mean, I appreciate not everybody likes cats and not everybody's a cat lover, but I think by putting it at the end of the video, you give people the option to just click off before they get to the end, right? It's like, if it's something they don't want to see, then they can just click away. So I thought that would be a fun option. So what I will do at the end of this Stitch With Me is put a little footage, not much, just a little something at the end of my ragdoll called Misty, who is now almost a year old, actually. She's almost 1 year old, and she's playful, she's affectionate. She's also a little pain in the butt sometimes, I have to admit. She likes doing crazy things just to get your attention. But I think I've heard that story before. This is the life of a cat. They like attention, and they know how to get your attention, even if it's the bad sort of attention where you're like, you know, get down from the top of the TV or something. They still prefer it to no attention. And yeah. So we have lots of fun with her. Anyway, back to the point. So the poll gave a really good, clear indication that people wanted long Stitch With Me videos, like 45 minutes plus. And that was like something like 75% of people that voted preferred the long Stitch With Me videos, which take longer to edit. Yes, they do. And also, not many people wanted short ones, and there was a small minority that wanted like vlog style Stitch With Me, so you can integrate a little bit of other footage aside from the Stitch With Me, maybe stuff about traveling, or, you know, interesting things around your neighborhood. I find that interesting, as well as the stitching stuff. So I think what I will do for the moment is just add a little something of my cat, because I don't know if there's much else interesting that I can show you. I mean, I could show you a little bit of Scotland, actually. I can go out with my camera and take some footage of places nearby. but I don't know if that's really going to be a hit in the Stitch With Me's, or, you know, whether that should be something that should be done on a separate channel, or a separate or a video on its own. And I think it wouldn't really work in a stitching channel, to be fair. I think it would work if you did a new channel called Travelling Around Scotland, showing, you know, a vlog of my day in Scotland, travelling around, that kind of thing. Then people know exactly what that's about. That's what they'll go to watch. I don't think mixing up everything in a stitching channel, because flosstube is flosstube. That's the main idea. That's what you want to see. That's what I want to show you. It's flosstube. So I don't want to start converting flosstube into other things. But if people are interested in, like I say, if enough people are interested in a little bit of showing around the city, because there are so many fantastic places here. I couldn't go inside and film inside them, because they are they have their rules and regulations why you can't do that. Obviously you need to pay to get inside castles and stuff, and you can't use video cameras inside. But there is definitely enough gorgeous scenery, and like even just a plain park is beautiful, to be able to do the occasional I am here today and this is what I'm looking at kind of video, and maybe even a little bit of history, a little bit of a tiny history lesson that's not too deep, not too wordy, not too full of dates. That's what I used to hate when I was young and I was doing history at school. I used to just switch off when they started talking about Lord this and Earl that, and loads of dates of wars and things. I'd just be like yawning. This is so boring. They've got to make it more exciting. I think they tried when they brought out this horrible histories, mainly for kids, made it a little bit more palatable. But it's difficult because history is full of key dates and long-winded names, right? Long-winded names and a lot of names, a lot of battles. So it's hard to kind of keep up with that. But maybe just a little bit of background as to what you're looking at, because you can stare at a stone wall, but there's nothing interesting about it. But when you get to hear the story behind it, it can become very interesting, depending on how much you enjoy hearing about historical events. Now, I, for one, am a big lover of history. It's one of my top fascinations. I never used to like it in school, but ever since I came to Scotland, it has increased in the last 5 or 6 years. I've gotten, like, I was very interested in history. Prior to that, I had written 3 books set in the 19th century before I even came to Scotland. So my interest was there, but coming to Scotland just further, increased my levels of interest, because I found out so many things, and to be honest, became a little bit obsessive with some of the historical figures here. Could not stop reading about them. And my shelf is literally full of books of historical figures. So I just have to get through reading most of them. Trying my hardest to get through those books, because they can be quite hefty. They can be quite a read. They can be difficult to not only digest. I mean, I wouldn't really call it bedtime reading, but I do read them in bed. Kind of these thick books with loads and loads of information. It's kind of like trying to study, but yeah. I have to admit, there are some points in the books where your eyes start to drop and you think, I'm just really not taking all this information in. I really want to just get to the juicy bits. You know, I just want to go past all the talking about the battles and who killed who and that stuff, and then just get to the information about the queens and what happened to the queens and the princesses and princes and that sort of thing. Okay, I'm coming to the bottom of this diagonal here, so it's going pretty well. Yeah, I'm blethering on again about stuff. So that's that. Not a lot of whole other news, to be honest. Sometimes it's difficult to find stuff to talk about when nothing's really happened. But yeah, there'll be no school next week or the week after, so my son will be around. And we haven't made any plans whatsoever, which sometimes I like because it gives us the opportunity to just wake up in one morning and say, right, we really feel like doing this today, and we've got the chance to just go and do this because we didn't make any concrete plans. We just decide to go here or there. That is more what we are like as a family. We're not very good at planning anything. And, sometimes we have to make concrete plans, obviously, to travel, to visit people, etc. But when we get like a small holiday, we just decide to, just everything is done like spontaneously. Sometimes I like spontaneously because I can never guarantee when I wake up what kind of state I'm going to be in, to be honest. Sometimes I'm not in any good state to do anything. So I hate the idea of waking up thinking, oh my God, now I have to drag myself out to get on a coach, to do this, to do that, when I really just want to stay in bed, So yeah, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So not too much planning. Not visiting family this year, but I have got family coming to visit me next month, which is nice. So there will be time. There will be time for that as well. And so that'll be nice because we'll be able to get out and about and have things to eat and generally drive each other mad for a few days until they go. It's always good to see family, but there comes a point where you just think, I want to go back to normal now. I'd like to just, get back to my ways. Get back to my ways. So let's see, where are we at? Okay. Cannot believe the fluidity of how fast I've thread a needle. Honestly, I would never have imagined that I would be able to do that without a needle threader, especially on the shorter pieces, but I seem to be able to do it quite really quickly. I don't think I would be doing this method if I couldn't thread a needle quickly. It just wouldn't be worth the time or the effort. No, especially when you've got a whole row of threads, like 10 threads in a row. Imagine if it took you 5 minutes to thread each of those threads. You'd be there forever, right? I mean, the whole point of this is because you can thread quickly. Or some people use multiple needles. I've never been able to use multiple needles. I get into such a flap, into such a mess so quickly. It's not even worth thinking about. And yep, I've tried that one. It's just doesn't work for me. So I have been able to put in a few stitches. in a couple of the other projects, but I really am enjoying focusing on this one because I'm seeing such real progress every single time I stitch on it that it gives me the motivation to keep going. Like that's that diagonal already finished there. So yeah, I think actually I will go with smaller diagonals. I think that's just makes you feel like you're completing things a lot quicker. I think it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be doing huge chunks down further, but it does mean that you'll get to the end quicker than if you do 5 or 6 blocks diagonal. I think short ones, maybe even three squares. What am I doing here? Am I doing 3 or 2 under here? Yeah, I'm only doing 2 squares, 2 square diagonals in this, and it's not a tiny amount by any means. It's good progress. Now what have I done? Done something else. 1, 2. Okay, I've done that stitch. Can I park a thread up here? Maybe. Yeah, I think I've got enough thread there. Oh yeah, it's pretty long. To park up there. Now, you'll be able to see me starting a new diagonal when I have completed this little row here. So I've had 2 cups of tea this morning and my throat still feels very sort of craggy. It's there. It's just not good today. Oops. So that wind is really going crazy, to be honest. I don't think it's getting any better. I don't think it's enticing me to go to a cafe, which is what I kind of wanted to do. One more stitch here. So it was, I really enjoyed my live stream the other day. I hadn't done it for a while, and it was really nice to catch up with many of the regulars or the people that I remember seeing, people that I know, and it was lovely to connect with them again. I always enjoy the live stream. It takes a lot of energy out of me. I'm usually flat out on my back after the live stream. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not exactly heavy labor, is it? I mean, you're just sitting there talking to people, so how can it tire you out so much? But somehow it does. And I felt like I was completely, so tired. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. And the main topic of the live stream, because we never really know what the subject of, the chat subject is going to be in advance. So sometimes it just veers into a certain direction or into a certain topic. And we're all talking about supersized max colors. And I think there was an element of enabling going on a little bit. And yeah, I was trying to, I was in the flow, having a bit of a laugh with it, but I wasn't really serious about starting an SSMC. I don't think I can get serious about starting it, to be fair, because as you can see, I've got plenty on the go at the moment. Starting another one like that size just would not only add more work involved, but just take away time from what I'm currently doing, which I'm kind of plodding on really nicely at the moment. I haven't even opened any of my kits to start one of those, for a little dopamine boost. No, haven't done that. just deciding to continue with what I'm doing here, because I'm just going to keep on getting more and more progress. The way I see it, if I can abstain from the enabling, I will continue to get really good progress on the ones I've got until the day comes. Yeah, let me say that correctly. Until the day comes which for whatever crazy reason, the enabling thing strikes and my brain just goes ding, and I'm off to the Heaven and Earth website to go and look at the patterns, and I just have to try and resist the temptation. I'll just have to pray on my knees that I'm not tempted by the devil of the Heaven and Earth website. Because I really think it's a possibility at some points. It usually happens when you're just fed up of what you're currently doing and you just need to go and have a break or do something different. That's when the devil strikes. Or you feel like you need to do something new. The word new is a dangerous word, guys. You know it. You know it's dangerous. I don't have to remind you. It's a both love and hate situation. Okay, I need a long thread to start this piece. This first stitch on this diagonal, and the first one. I've got a lot of threads. So I basically take one thread off and fold it in half so I can do my loop start. So all my threads are cut fairly long. Then I'll join the two ends together if I can. This is usually a lot more simple to do. Get the two ends as close together as possible. And that's it. Bingo, we're done. And as for the threading, it does actually help to have a needle with a bigger eye. If you have a needle with a slightly bigger eye, you're going to not struggle as much to thread it. That's for sure. There, loop start done. No problem at all. And now I think I've got another thread that I need to get. And the second one. Lots of browns. There's lots of browns in this. So yeah, the live stream was fun. Goodness me, it was very fun. And I'll have to try and do another one. Maybe not this week, but maybe next week. If we're not, if I can find a point where we're not out and about doing things. I'll just let you know a couple of days before and I'll schedule it then. So I don't really know, like I said, I don't make huge plans, but we might say that, a couple of days before we might plan something then for the weekend. But it's certainly nice to catch up with people and to get an idea of what they're working on. And just to chat, basically. It's just a nice way of connecting with other stitchers, I think. It makes it feel much more immediate and real than the actual stitch with me's. It's my washing machine coming to the end of its cycle. So I think if I can carry on at this speed, I can probably get this diagonal, this corner done before the end of March. What do you guys think? I think there's a good possibility that it'll happen. But I'm not being completely monogamous. Ever since I joined flosstube, I don't know how to be completely monogamous. I think I've tried and it's just felt depressing. It feels like I'm being punished. You're not allowed to do anything else until you've finished what you're doing. It's like kind of like when you're sitting at the table and you're not allowed to go until you've finished all your broccoli. Yeah, we've all been spoiled rotten with flosstube, haven't we? Like, I used to be so happy to just sit there. I remember this clearly, and have one project that usually came, well, it would have come from a kit back in the day. And I even remember what my projects were back in the, let me see, early 2000s, it might have been. I was working on a, on a picture of like 3 tigers. There was like a large tiger and 2 cubs at the front and in front of the tiger. And I was working on that diligently every evening for about an hour or so. There was no counting stitches. There was no worrying about how to start the threads or end the anything. It was just felt so very on the fly, and there was no tons and tons of information to be gleaned because there was no internet. I didn't have a computer, so I didn't know, back then there was nobody to ask anything. So if you didn't understand something from your instructions, you would just basically wing it or or just do it your own way, or ask somebody like, I don't know, a sister or somebody else a friend who might have some idea. I'm stuck, I don't know what this means. But there was, no looking anything up. But you also didn't have to perform, so you didn't have to finish anything by a certain time, or there was never any goals in needlework when I was in my early 20s. There was never any goals to say, I have to finish this by such a date or such a month. I don't recall that ever coming across my mind. And I find that fascinating now because I think, why didn't I ever think that? I was just happy to just sit there and do it like you do knitting. You just sit there and you knit. You don't think, I'm going to finish this section by the end of next week. Might have been some tentative goals, or maybe people did make goals, I don't know. In my experience, things were just done for the pleasure, and there was no end, it was not a race. There was no trying to fulfill anything. It was just done very mindfully in the moment. That is what I remember of my stitching. And I don't think that now, since stitching has actually become more widespread and more of a thing, and yes, it's still a hobby, but it's become a much more, it's become a hobby with a lot more purpose to it than just a hobby. There's a lot more purpose, I think. And a lot more statistics and a lot more of everything. So yeah, the angle on it has kind of changed. But of course, the kind of stitching we do now is different. It's totally different. This is nothing I ever would have heard of back in the past. Okay, I need to park thread down here somewhere, which is so much easier when you've got the easy guide. So much easier. Yeah, one more thread here. So I was stitching a tiger, and I also had, I think it must have been a Dimensions kit, an old Dimensions kit, but I can't ever find it. It had a picture of an Indian woman, like large front picture of an Indian, and then there was like a wolf and some kind of oracle or something in the corner, and it was very blues, very dark blue and silvery, and there was a pack of wolves howling at the front. So, and there was a lot of silvery threads, like probably the cranic, let's say, back then. And I did not finish that piece. I don't know where it went. I don't know if I chucked it out, or I lost it in the move, because I moved house so many times. I don't know where it went, and I can't find it. I mean, I've seen a lot of charts that look similar, or have got similar theme, but I haven't come across the chart that I had back then. And I don't know if I came across it again, if I would want to purchase it, because I feel like it would be a nostalgic piece if I did it again. It wouldn't just be something new. It would have links or ties to my past, and that might be quite nostalgic. That might be quite nice to say, oh, I'm going to do it again so many years ahead. And I also had a little wedding piece, I think, as well, which totally got lost. I don't know where that went. Never found it again. I mean, we're talking like 30 years ago. So, you know, things just get lost. They just go astray sometimes. I don't think I finished the tigers either. I don't think. I remember I had a little small wooden frame for that one, but I didn't finish it. But hey ho, oh well. Those were the days when I was more or less monogamous. I'd go to the needle workshop or, you know, general hobby shop, and I would buy a kit, and that's it. That's what I would be doing until it's finished, and then maybe I'd get another one later, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd do something else. For a large number of years, I was well into the crochet, and I was doing crocheted wedding cakes of all things, and doing craft fairs. So I did a lot of craft fairs on the crochet, and did not do any sort of cross stitch for a good number of years. So I only really picked up the cross stitch properly again in 2019, I think it was. Yeah, I don't know what I saw or what spurred it on. I do know I was wanting something to do and not knowing what to do, and I didn't want to do any knitting. I'd got tired of the knitting and the crochet, and I went into the John Lewis store here in Scotland, and I saw a Bothy Threads kit, and I think it was one that had a tree of hearts. It was like a heart tree. I know which one it was, and lots of little petals and lots of little flowers in the tree. And I got that, and I started doing that one, and I don't know where it went. I think I put it away somewhere. Did not find it again, but I'd started that one. I think I'd been doing that one for a couple of weeks, and I don't know, but somehow I got onto the internet, and I seemed to see other people stitching it, or videos of people talking about needlework, and I think that just leads you down the path, doesn't it? Once you start seeing videos of people doing needlework and stuff. Okay, I've got lost now because I stopped looking at what I'm doing. Which colour am I using? 3860. Yeah, so I stopped and doing that, and then I went looking, thought, what is this thing called Heaven and Earth Design? I think I've seen a few pictures. I have no idea what it is, and that's how I got onto the Heaven and Earth Design website, and bingo, it's the beginning of the end, really. That is surely the beginning of the end. Can I park this one somewhere? No, I think I'll just end this thread somewhere down here. leave a teeny tail. And that is how I came to be a floss tuber, I guess. The story of my past. So it's very easy for one thing to lead you into another. And my goodness, we are so easily led. But it's all good. It's all cool. I'm still enjoying it. And inevitably at some point down the line, probably will lose my stitchy bug. Other people have lost their stitchy bugs. It's life. It happens. But it's also nice when it comes back and it feels exciting again. And it feels new again. And you want to get back into it as quickly as possible. I don't know what I've done here now. This is what happens. Go off chatting and then I turn and look and it's like, what have I done? Where am I? What's my name? Okay, this one I can park, I think. So I'm counting the park threads from below and then I'm basing it on that. So I really do hate it when I've parked wrongly because quite a lot of my threads are based on the ones that are already parked in terms of counting. Okay, so I think getting to the end of this row and I think it's time for me to, get up, do some stuff, do some tidying up, do some cleaning and get on with my day basically. So it's pretty early still. What time is it? 10:30, still quite early. And I managed to do a stitch with me, so I'm pleased about that. And I hope you are too. And I hope you've enjoyed listening. This is my last stitch at the end of this row. I hope you've enjoyed listening and watching. I don't know whether you're doing one or the other or both, but even so, if you're still here, you're amazing to have made it this far. And it's fantastic and I appreciate it. Thank you. So there we go. So let's see at this point if I will come back with the news that I have finished this corner. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have got that done. And I hope to come back again soon with another stitch with me as well. So until I see you again, my friends, I hope you have a good day and that you stay safe and well and enjoy your stitching time. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Oh, little chin rub, little chin rub. What's wrong, Misty? Hey, what's the matter? You cannot be hungry again. You cannot be hungry again. She's still got food in her bowl. That's a fantastic way to sleep, isn't it?
You're falling.
I guess this is why they call them ragdolls, right?
Misty, you're falling. I have to shift you over.
Look. Okay, it doesn't look as good as it did the other day, but this is my crafting area. Come back a bit so you can see how it looks. My absolute favourite thing in here